The rest of the world needs to sit up and take notice of what is going on in Greece right now. This is what can happen when you allow government debt to spiral out of control. Once it becomes clear that you can't pay your debts, a financial collapse can happen very suddenly, and you start losing your sovereignty to those that you must turn to for financial help. So is the financial collapse of Greece the canary in the coal mine for the global economy? EU finance ministers have given the Greek government 2 weeks from Monday to approve another round of brutal austerity measures. If the austerity measures are not approved, Greece will not receive the next bailout installment of 12 billion euros. If that happens, the whole globe better buckle up because it's going to get crazy. July 3rd is the deadline. Basically, the EU has put a gun to the head of the Greek government. Without this bailout money, Greece will default and economic hell will break loose all across the country. It is important to keep in mind that this is just the first Greek bailout that we are talking about. Last year, the EU and the IMF agreed to provide the Greek government with a 110 billion euro bailout. The current 12 billion euro installment is part of that package. Sadly, it has become apparent that the first bailout is not going to be nearly enough for Greece. A second bailout, which will be the same size or even larger, is already being discussed. This is going to put the Greek people even more under the heel of the money powers in Europe. Keep in mind that all of these bailouts are just more loans. There is no way that the Greeks are ever going to be able to repay all of this money. But this is what happens when a nation lets debt get out of control. For years and years, it can seem like all of that debt does not have any consequence. But then the day of reckoning comes, and it is a complete and total nightmare. In order to get the next installment of 12 billion euros, European finance ministers are insisting that the Greek government approves a package of austerity measures that will be worth approximately 28 billion euros. At this point, it is uncertain whether those austerity measures will pass. The pressure on the Greek government, however, to get them pushed through is immense. These austerity measures include tax increases, budget cuts, and a large-scale privatization program. This is often what happens to third world nations that cannot pay the debts. Organizations such as the IMF or the World Bank will come in and insist that they tax their people more, cut back on their spending, and sell some of their public assets to big corporations. As we can see from the wild protests that have been taking place in Greece, a significant percentage of the Greek population is not happy at all with these austerity measures. Unfortunately, the EU and the IMF are able to put a lot more pressure on the Greek government than the Greek people are. Greek Prime Minister George Papandreou recently gave the following warning to the Greek people about what could happen if this debt crisis ends badly. The consequences of a violent bankruptcy or exit from the euro would be immediately catastrophic for households, the banks, and the country's credibility. Not only would a Greek default be a total disaster for Greece, it would potentially be a total disaster for the entire global financial system. Sung-Won Son, an economics professor at California State University, recently made the following statement about the seriousness of the debt crisis in Europe. The European debt crisis has the potential to have as big an impact as the subprime mortgage crisis did in the United States. So will these bailouts solve the problem? No. Giving Greece more loans is only going to kick the can down the road for a little while longer. The truth is that Greece is bankrupt. Unless huge amounts of Greek debt are forgiven, Greece is going to default sooner or later. When confidence in the finances of a nation is lost, borrowing costs can go up very quickly. Today the yield on a 2-year bond is up to 28.6%. Anyone that has ever been late on paying their credit cards knows how painful an interest rate like that can be. So why doesn't Greece just slash government spending to the bone and get their financial house in order? Well, it's not that easy. Harsh austerity measures have already been implemented. As a result, unemployment is rampant, and there is rioting in the streets. As the economy crumbles, Greece has descended into an almost permanent state of civil unrest. The fact that the EU and the IMF want even more austerity measures has sparked some wild rioting in Greece in recent days.